Romesco is one of those sauces I think everyone should have in their repertoire. It goes with so many different things from vegetables, chicken, and it even goes with steak, and that's how I'm going to serve it today. Now I've preheated my oven to 200 degrees, and the first thing we need to do is prepare the vegetables that go in the sauce. So large capsicum, then I'm going to cut the cheeks off it, and leaving the core. That's just the fastest way of doing it. And then the second one. Fabulous. And then I'll grab a tray that's been lined with some baking paper. And we'll just place them on. They don't need to be perfectly chopped because this is going to be blended once it's cooked. The aim here is to get as much colour on these vegetables as possible because the more colour, the smokier it's going to be to achieve a beautiful flavour. Now I'm going to take this one step further by basting it in a tomato and smoked paprika sauce so we get an intense flavour. Tomatoes I'm going to leave whole. We'll just pop them on our tray. And also 4 cloves of garlic left in their skin. The skin is almost going to act like a blanket, so it's going to protect the garlic flesh. So we want them to stay in their skins. And now for the tomato-based sauce. So tomato paste into a bowl, along with a generous amount of smoked paprika. Now this is an olive oil based sauce, so we want a generous amount of olive oil and a good quality Australian extra virgin olive oil. 1/4 cup of this olive oil can go in, and this is going to bind everything together. Also, I'll need a good pinch of salt, so 2 generous pinches, and some freshly cracked pepper. Okay, now with the back of my spoon, we'll just press that in and then mix that to incorporate it. And now we can start basting our vegetables. So generously do this. We'll just spread that over all of the capsicum generously, and then the tomatoes. And now this can go into the oven 25 minutes or until the skin has blistered. Once that's happened, we'll let them cool and then we'll peel them. The vegetables have come out of the oven. How good do they look? Look how blistered the skins are, and you can see there's that lovely oil that's been spiked with the tomato paste and the smoked paprika. All of that is going to go in the sauce. Now before I finish off the sauce, I want to get my steak on so it all comes together at the end. I'm using a nice thick steak here. This is a sirloin steak, a nice bit of fat along the side there, which is going to keep it nice and juicy. And this is about 200 to 250 grams. So we'll just oil the steak. Bring your steak out of the fridge at least an hour before cooking it. It just makes it so much easier to cook, and you've got more control as the cook when you're grilling it. So a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, some pepper, freshly cracked pepper, coarsely grated, and a good pinch of salt. Be generous with the salt because this is going to help form the crust. So just massage that into the steak on all sides. I'm doing this in a grill pan. I don't like to add the oil to the grill pan. I prefer to coat the steak entirely in the oil so we get an even crust on it. Now my pan is really hot, so we can start cooking this. It's going to take about 2 minutes on each side. That's a good sound. I love the sound of grilling steak. Now while that's cooking, we can get onto the sauce. As I mentioned earlier, we want to take off the skins. So you can see how easy it comes off after it's cooled down. And if there's some skin in there, it's fine. It's not going to make that much of a difference. I'm just going to take a little of it off. And then we'll pop this into a food processor. You'll see how easy it is for the skins of the tomato to come off. To make this even easier, you can place a bit of cling film over the tray and that'll sweat the vegetables. But like I said, I don't mind if some of the skin stays on. And last tomato. I'm just breaking this up with my hand to release the juices. Look at that. Oop, very juicy tomato. Great. Now for the garlic. You'll see it just comes straight out of the skins, and we'll pop the 4 cloves of garlic in there. It seems like quite a lot of garlic, but once it's been cooked like this, it becomes sweet, so it's not as strong as usual. Just squeeze that out. Yum. And the last one, just pop out of the skins. Now all of this delicious oil we don't want to waste. That's going into our food processor, a spatula, and scrape all that down, and then in it goes. Okay, before we continue, just want to turn my steak. So just grab your steak with the tongs and then carefully turn over. Look at that, nice char grill marks. So back to the food processor. The almonds can go in now. I've toasted the almonds. A generous handful of those can go in, along with some bread. Now the bread is also going to thicken the sauce. This is just day-old sourdough, and I'll just rip that in there. This makes quite a lot of sauce and it keeps quite nicely in the fridge. So if you don't use it all up with your steaks this time around, you can use it the next day. And I'll add some sherry vinegar. I'm using sherry vinegar because it is used quite a lot in Spanish cooking, but you could use balsamic or red wine vinegar. And now some parsley that I'll just rip in there. Stalks and all is fine. Another pinch of salt, and now I'll blend this into a thick paste forms. Then I'll loosen it up with some extra virgin olive oil. All right, let's have a look at this. Ooh, looks good. You can see that's lovely and thick. That's what we're looking for, but I want this to become glossy now, so extra virgin olive oil, a good glug of it, 3 tablespoons. I'm using a robust one because I want to taste the flavour of the olive oil in here. So 3 tablespoons. The lid can go back on, and another pulse. Okay, I'm going to have a taste of the sauce just to ensure that there's enough salt. I love that sauce. It is delicious and I can taste the olive oil, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, I'll take this off the motor. We'll take the blade out and I'm going to take my steak out and rest it. Resting is crucial when you're cooking a steak because it will become extra juicy. So heat can go off. Now this steak has only been cooking for 4 minutes, so the general rule is to rest it for half the time. So this only needs 2 minutes to rest. Now, for some garnishes, I have some rocket, some peppery rocket, and just some lemon. I'll grab a knife. I'll just cut a cheek off the lemon. Take little seeds out for presentation. We'll pop that on the plate ready to go, along with some parsley. And I'm just mixing the parsley leaves with the rocket just to make a small salad to go with this. And to dress this salad, a small amount of lemon, some salt, and a splash of extra virgin olive oil. Now I like to get my hands into the salad just so I'm delicately tossing it together. Right, now for the steak, I'm going to cut it into slices, so just onto the board. I'll just trim that first little bit off, the fat there. Ooh, and look at that. That's how I like it cooked. Perfectly rare. You can cook it how you like. And we'll cut it into some thick medallions. Perfectly cooked. And now we'll grab the steak and we'll place it onto our plate. You can see none of the juices are running. That's because we've allowed it to rest. And now for our salad, a pile of salad on the side. And finally, our hero sauce, the Romesco sauce. A spoonful of it straight onto the steak. I love it that much. I'm going to add 2 generous spoonfuls of the Romesco. There you have it. A very simple dish to do. It goes really well with steak, but it also goes with chicken and vegetables, you name it. Romesco is the one to keep in your repertoire.